Wow, I do not like our chances.
No. Greetings, you bramble sovereigns. I hope you're doing well. This is the Crack-A-Pack on LRRMTG. My name is Graham, and I'm joined today by Gavin Verhey.
Hello, great to be here. We've got a set I am so excited to crack a pack of. This was the first Magic set I ever led the design of, one I'm very fond of, Battlebond.
Battlebond. Well, here you go. Crack
Oh,
away.
amazing. So if you aren't familiar with Battlebond, the unique thing about it is it is a two-headed giant set. So it is focused around two-headed giant draft. So you're gonna see some cards in this pack that are maybe not the most geared on for one-on-one cards that you've ever seen in your life. So we'll be talking about that as we go through probably. And I'll talk about some of the fun design decisions that we made along the way. And the trick is going to be two things. One is going to be opening this pack. And the other one is going to be keeping it under the time limit, because I could tell all these stories forever. Now, Battlebond, I think, has the rare in the front. So we want to start in the back, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. We like to build up.
Yeah, all right, I remember this correctly.
All right, cool.
All right, first card we have is Consulate Skygate. So this set is some reprints and some new cards. So one of the fun challenges is trying to find things that from old sets that would work well.
Right.
And a nice little filler artifact defender, totally fine.
2-mana 0/4 defender with reach.
Yep. And one thing we're trying to do with Battlebond is make it very approachable, because already there's a lot of complexity with 4 players at the table, right? And the thing about two-headed giant is you want to bring in your friend that might not play as much Magic. So there's, vanillas and some more straightforward cards that show up in the set as well.
Vanilla creatures.
Well, what a strange. Hey, with the recent set, Ether Drift, we got plenty of vanillas.
That's true. There was a 3/2 for 2, the gibberick whatever.
You're not limited to play the 0/8 for 2. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Card number 2, Daggerback Basilisk. 3-mana 2/2 Death Touch. Once again, very much fitting the theme of simple commons, which is great. But Death Touch, really strong two-headed giant.
Yep.
You can walk away. So it makes them not want to attack you. One thing that's kind of tricky two-headed giant is making sure that you have ways to both be aggressive and defensive. Because if you get run over early, it's really unfun. The game ends too fast. But there's so few ways to break late game board stalls. So Death Touch is great. It's like, well, I'll attack. At least I'll trade with some creatures or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Omen Speaker, another reprint from Theros. Enters and you get to scry 2. So one thing about two-headed giant is you play single game matches. It's not best 2 out of 3. You play single game matches. And in case you aren't familiar, I guess maybe some of you don't know how two-headed giant is played. So it's a 2-on-2 game. Graham and I, imagine we're a team right here. We have 30 life.
And all of you are the other team.
Yeah, all of you. Wow, I do not like our chances.
No. Organize yourself into 2 groups.
Although if it's Twitch chat, maybe we got a chance. Anyway, so we're at 30 life. We take our turns together, right? We don't share resources, we don't share mana or anything like that, but we take our turns together, they take your turns together, and we attack each other team and so on and so forth.
But there are cards that will say things like your teammate can help you cast the spell, so there's cards that work within that sort of limitation.
So we'll get there. So if a card says something you own, it really just means something that you have. If it says your team owns, which is introduced in this set, it'll be both players. We'll get to that if and when we find one. But because it is a single game match, the games can go very, very fast. Sometimes, because one player gets mana screwed or something like that, ends up being a problem. So we don't want that to happen. We want you to have a satisfying, longer game. So we introduced a good amount of scrying and card selection at a low mana cost, so you can make sure to hit your land drops. Because if one of your head is not performing and the other 2 are doing great, you're gonna have a challenge. So yeah, Omen Speaker is a great little filler card. Just hit those land drops, really important.
I'm just a big fan of any 1 in a blue, 1/3 that does stuff like this.
Give me a little scrying for it. There's some common cards that let everyone find a land or everybody draw a card, just to make sure everyone's game goes a little better, right? Our next card is Giant Growth.
Hey!
An oldie but a goodie. Okay, so one thing, man, I'm gonna have a story for every card, I'm so sorry, Graham.
Go for it.
One fun thing about combat tricks, and we're in the set in general. So when we're working on the set, we wanted to create what we called high five moments. Moments where the other player does something and you do something and you kind of high five each other. And the most clear example of that is Graham attacks, you block, I giant growth Graham's creature, and then the high five happens, right? And it feels like we have to team up and do something. So there's auras and things like that. We literally call them high five moments in design, and simple combat tricks, a great way to do that.
It's so good, yeah.
And also helps break those board stalls. Next card, Bull Rush Bruiser. This is the first new card we're seeing. So when I was handed the set off from design, there was a subtype on spells that was there. I don't even remember the name of the subtype exactly, but it was on spells, and they counted all that type in both players' graveyard. So it wasn't arcane, but if you imagine it was like arcane, it was like draw a card plus an additional card for each one of this arcane in each player's graveyard.
So it'd be like instant dash, whatever this subtype was.
Exactly.
Okay. And that didn't end up getting, I don't recall it, so it didn't end up seeing print.
It didn't end up seeing print in the set, but I love the idea of something that both players could share, like kind of a sliversy thing we could do together.
Right.
And so when working on the set, we came up with a creature type that we would care about, which was, as we all know in Battlebond, of course, beasts.
Oh.
Beasts, which we had in the set. We're like, oh, we'll make a red-green beast an archetype.
I thought it was the Kylum one.
Oh, yes, well, this story has more layers. Because as you will notice, there is no beast matters in the final set.
Yeah.
Because as things went along and we developed the plane more and found out it was a plane based on sports and esports, we're like, oh, what about all the warriors that are here? And we switched over into warrior matters. So there's a bunch of warriors throughout the set. And there are a bunch of cards that care about warriors. It's focused in kind of red, black, white, but there's a little bit of in blue and green. And then we can draft it together, kind of like a type matters synergy thing. And Bull Rush Bruiser cares about your team controlling another warrior. So once again, a great little high five moment where I play this, you have a warrior, this attacks and gets first strike because you have a warrior.
Right, 3 in a red, 4/3 whenever it attacks. If your team controls another warrior, so that's you or your teammate, then it gets first strike. Right. Sweet.
So just a simple little common, but gets at the teaming up strategy. Story for every card. Okay, Wandering Wolf. Creatures with power less than it can't block it. Simple little way to get through. The green-white archetype is +1/+1 counters, so you get to kind of grow this up a little bit and attack through your opponent's stuff.
Great.
Kite Sail Corsair, 1U, 2 and flying. It is flying while it's attacking. What is a great way to make sure you can chip through to your opponent deal damage, but you can't block their flyers? A simple little card like this. It just lets you chip through for damage. We had a lot of debating on like Welkin turn versus Kite Sail Corsair, but ended up with this card in the end.
I like both of those cards. I'm a big Welkin turn enjoyer.
I think if I remember the timeline right, Ixalan just came out pretty fresh before this set, which Kite Sail Corsair was in, and so this was Welkin turn for a long time. Then I saw this card in the Ixalan design file. I was like, taking this one for myself. So thanks for making that card. I think that was the story. Maybe someone in the comments tell me I'm wrong though. Next up, Hand of Silumgar. 1B, 2/1 Death Touch. Once again, Death Touch helps you break through. You want a lot of cheap creatures hitting your curve is important. You don't want, if you stall out and the other players have a quick aggressive start, you will die. So just a great way to get through once again. Up next, Midnight Guard.
Oh yes.
2-dub, 2/3, when a creature comes in and untaps. This is a really simple high five moment. I have my Midnight Guard, I attack you, it becomes tapped. You untap, you play a creature and untap my thing. Really simple little thing, triggers on everyone's stuff. There are some cards in set that can combo with it. There's like an enchantment that says, lets the creature tap to draw a card.
Yes.
And so I put that on my Midnight Guard, you play some creatures, suddenly we're in business. That's a fun time. Great high five moment.
I love putting Midnight Guard with, any ping enchantment, obviously, but also the one that makes elves.
Yeah, Presence of Gond.
Presence of Gond. I knew it was something of Gond.
That, not in the set.
No.
Right. Didn't want to make it an infinite combo. Splinter Twin at common would be a little much, I think.
Yeah,
but,
I suppose so.
But fine. Liturgy of Blood. 5 mana, kill a creature, get 3 black mana. Simple, straightforward. Look at all these nice simple hits we're getting here. Once again, very approachable set. Oh, here are the uncommons. Kiss of the Amisha. So Kiss of the Amisha is a reprint, 6 mana. Target player gains 7 life and draws 2 cards.
Target player.
Target player is the critical thing here, right? So your life total is shared, so.
Right, so if you cast it and target me, we gain the life, but I draw the card.
Exactly, so it's nice to be able to look for targets. Yeah, exactly, grab have some cards. It's nice to be able to target people with this, and we did a lot of targeted draw effects in this set. We also avoided effects that were confusing. For example, there are no equipment in the set because it was confusing to realize that you could not equip your teammate's creature.
Of course that would catch people, right?
If I was to make a Battlebond 2, which I hope someday I get to do, I would for sure make a ball equipment, which is the ability to attach to target players' creatures. You could like pass it around, but I wasn't smart enough back then. So it was my first set after all. There's also only allied color gold cards in the set because we made all the limited archetypes, the 5 allied color archetypes, because just that's how Two-Headed Giant worked out. So anyway.
Good idea.
A fun fact for every card, I warned you. We've got Genesis Chamber.
Oh, right.
This is a reprint from Darksteel.
I forgot this was in the set.
There's a lot of uncommons in this set, Graham, that are like, oh right, that was in there. Right? This is a weird card. This is, I think, was one of the cards added in the set later when I was trying to fill out a spot. It's whenever a creature comes into play, if it's untapped, you make a 1/1 mirror, or that player makes a 1/1 mirror rather. So if you can draft this if you and your teammate are like, okay, we're playing a ton of creatures, we're gonna flood the board, we're gonna get a ton of little 1/1s, but you don't want it against someone who else is playing a lot of creatures. So it's a very iffy card to play, but in the right deck, it can be pretty cool.
This works well with the Midnight Guard and the draw card thing that you were saying before.
Then you're
because you play the creature, you untap the guard, but then you're also making the mirror to get another untap out of it.
Oh yeah. So it's easy seeing the synergies coming. I'm like, oh, well, I'll put Midnight Guard, you play Genesis Chamber.
Battlebond's so much fun, everybody.
Oh, it's so good. I love this set. Next card, we've got Slum Reaper. 4 mana, 4/2, and it comes into play. Each player sacks a creature. each player, critical there, right? You hit every player's board, and lets you and your teammate kind of confer and team up. Oh, maybe you're not going to play a creature on this turn,
right?
So I can slam this first. You have stacked nothing, they stack 2 things.
I've definitely had instances in the two-headed giant game where my teammate's like, all right, cool, so I'm going to play, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me play a creature first.
Wait, let me get the Slum Reaper out there first, yeah.
Good communication, important in any relationship, especially when you both share a body and a life total.
Yep. And then probably the rare.
We got 2 cards left, so I think we must have a rare and a foil right here, right?
Ooh.
Or this could be a partner pair, actually. It might show up here. Let's see what we have. Right. We have Doubling Season. Oh my gosh, holy smokes.
Let's go.
What a pull. I'm glad we did the dramatic build-up. Okay, I will tell a story. So this is a reprint, of course. We all know Doubling Season, it doubles your stuff. But wow, what a pull. Do I have to keep this, Graham? How does this Crack-A-Pack thing work?
We gotta take pictures of it.
Okay, take pictures of it, I see. So one thing that Creative was very keen on was the idea of twosiness. It's a funny little phrase. There's 2 of us playing, so let's do a lot of things in 2s. So there are creatures in the set that have like 2 heads. There's a lot of 2 people back-to-back fighting. But we also want to represent that in design somewhere. And so we looked for cards that like showed off 2 or perhaps doubling. And at this time, it had been a long time since Doubling Season had been reprinted. I saw maybe like a Judge promo or something. And so we put it in the set where it stuck. Really cool reprint here. And it even fits into like the counters deck a little bit, but frankly, this was like one of the biggest reprints when the set came out.
Yeah.
And when you're doing a set full of new cards and reprints, you want to make sure to have some heater reprints, and this was a cool one to hit.
And cool new art of the arena at Kylum. Combos really well with Genesis Chamber.
For them, for you better than them. Yeah. And the art is like pretty mirrored. I guess not perfectly mirrored because there's people in the foreground, but once again, getting that sense of 2s going on here was the thing Creative was very keen on. Wow, what an open. Whatever this last card is probably gonna be a letdown, unless it's a foil Doubling Season, I guess we'll find out. We have,
could be a land, probably, maybe?
Oh yeah.
It's a swamp.
It's a swamp. If you use these in tap for black mana. Okay, yeah, that's about it. No, actually, a story I will tell you, because I do have one for everything. Oh wow, I should have a longer version of my short story. So when we were working on Battlebond, we wanted to do something cool with the lands, something unique with the lands. So we came up with a really cool idea. What if we did full symbol lands, where there was the mana symbol in the shape of like a flag or something like that, and that was the whole thing here in the text box, with like a pattern flag, and it was awesome. And we made it and it looked amazing. I was like, these lands are sick, we love them, they're gonna be mega popular, and the problem was they were too good. They're like, well, Battlebond is this ancillary set. Well, what if we took them for a main set? And they went in Theros Beyond Death instead as the Constellation lands.
Oh.
So that's actually what we did with those. So instead we're like, okay, well, our best idea was take, what's the next best thing we have? And one thing we thought would be very cool is to show the Battlebond stadium with every stage. It's kind of like a shifting stadium where like the level comes down, the new thing pops up. And so this shows it in its swamp form, but the same stage could have a mountainous form, a watery form, and so on. So they all show the 5 different stages that you'll find on Battlebond. And that's a little bit of in Valor's Reach, the stadium's name. And
Valor's Reach, thank you.
And that's the name of, that's the whole deal with Battlebond. It's set on Kylum. Hope we can go back someday. Please flood the comments with hashtag Battlebond2win. Get my boss to get excited about it. I want to make the set, but I need your support, so please make it happen. Oh, we have a spirit token.
The spirit token, on the back of which is just an ad for this set. It just says, your allies are waiting, hashtag
hey,
MTG.
Did you enjoy buying this set? Maybe you should buy more of this set. It's for people like us that can't remember the set code.
Yeah, fair enough. That's handy.
Well, there we go. Fun little Crack-A-Pack on Battlebond.
So if you're drafting it, what's your first pick out of this?
Well, the cool thing about Battlebond
is
you take 2 picks at a time, right? So when you draft Two-Headed Giant, which is really fun and I recommend it, you draft 2 cards at a time and then build 2 decks out of it afterwards. So you can kind of like slot it out a little bit. But what are the best cards in this pack? I mean, yeah, well, I mean, we're probably taking the Doubling Season just because it's Doubling Season, although it ironically is not actually that strong. If I'm drafting it because I wanted the Doubling Season, yeah, I'm taking the Doubling Season. The other cards that I would get pretty excited about, I think Slum Reaper is really strong, right? You can time it well to kill off 2 of their creatures. I also, if you want to go blue-white early, Kiss the Misha is surprisingly strong. It helps shore up your late game to make sure you don't die to the aggro decks while giving whatever player needs it 2 more cards. There's the 5-mana removal spell, Liturgy of Blood. Oh yeah, the other thing I'll say too is because you're 4 players, you're probably playing at least 4, if not all 5 colors between the 2 of you.
Right.
So really any color is kind of safe, so more about your strategy. Liturgy of Blood is a good removal spell, is pretty solid. I also just really like Giant Growth in this format. It's an oldie but a goodie, but man, just pumping a creature on either player's side for 1 mana, it's good if you're aggressive, if you're slow, or whatever.
I'm equally tempted by the Daggerback Basilisk deck. I said that right. Oh my god. I thought for sure I screwed that up.
You're bringing the daggers back. Those other basilisks do not know how to act.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Rita. I would take Doubling Season because it's Doubling Season.
Yep.
And I would take Slum Reaper because I think it's very strong.
Sweet.
But if we were like redrafting the cards at the end, I would probably take Liturgy of Blood and Slum Reaper for 2 strong black cards.
Sweet.
I wouldn't be mad about Extremely Sure Giant Growth either. But this is the fun part. We get to talk. So what would you take? What would you take, Graham?
I mean, I would definitely take Doubling
Yeah,
Season.
yeah.
And then probably one of these, probably Slum Reaper or Liturgy, or if I was like, oh, let's just take 2 green ones, it'd be like Doubling Season and the Basilisk. But again, we're gonna be sharing the cards later, so it doesn't. We're not really worried about it. So probably just take the 2 most powerful cards, right?
The bigger question is we're going to share the cards during the draft, but how are we splitting up this Doubling Season, Graham? We're just going to rip it in half, each get half of a Doubling Season?
Yeah, that's how that works, right?
That's always the trick.
Then it just says if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control.
It
does that.
Actually, let's do it this way. So I'll take the counters part, you can take the tokens part.
Oh, perfect.
And we'll figure out what you like.
Yes, I love that.
Well, thanks for doing the Battle Bomb. This was a really fun walk down memory lane.
Yeah, thank you for joining me on the Crack-A-Pack. This was terrific. If you've enjoyed the Crack-A-Pack, you can support us and everything we do at Loading Ready Run at our Patreon, patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, or becoming a member of this YouTube channel. Gavin, where can folks find you and your things? Other than buying Magic the Gathering.
Have you heard of this card game?
And telling people to make Battlebond 2?
It's a Deckmaster game, so check out other Deckmaster products. No, you can find me, of course, on social media everywhere under my name, very easy, but also on my YouTube channel, Good Morning Magic, where I post stuff multiple times a week talking about how the game is designed. So lots of fun stuff in there.
Yeah, cool. Well, hey, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Crack-A-Pack.